Welcome to the first episode of Clean Meats, everybody. And I think before we even introduce, and I think everyone on the podcast today has been on before, so we don't need as much of an introduction, but we have to address the maybe not elephant in the room because elephant's not a clean meat, but the name of the podcast. So the whole point is that not everything has to be serious all the time. So we're going to do a series of podcasts that's just people hanging out, having fun, doing silly things loosely related to the Church of God and whatnot, and just brethren having fun together. But I also have to give intellectual property rights recognition to Corbin Rose, who this title has been in the works since maybe right after I met him. I remember us being at a hangout in like Gatlinburg, Tennessee, staying up because we were rooming together and us going back and forth with like ridiculous names. And he came up with what was originally a name for a dating website in the Church of God called Clean Meats, Meets. And I've told pretty much everyone about it since. Everyone loves it, but we have not been able to use it. So we're done waiting. That's now the name of this podcast. But welcome to it, everybody. Thanks to everyone who's joining us today on the panel. Steve, how's it going, bud?
Good. We were just thinking about this before. This is the most people we've had on a podcast before.
Yep.
And this is going to be interesting to see if we can make it work with 4 people.
Mm-hmm. People do it. Chantel, how's it going?
Hey, it's good. I'm the one who helped create the logo, so I'm like obsessed. If you haven't seen it, you have to go look at it.
Yeah.
It was like a Dan brainchild. It's hilarious.
And Corbin, last but not least, Mr. Cincinnati Cowboy.
That's right. Representing Cincinnati Chili right here with my hat. Living the dream. Happy to be on this Clean Meats, seeing it come to life finally after all the waiting and all the rejections from people using that as a title because it's terrible.
How long before you told me did you have that name?
That's been bouncing around for maybe 3 or 4 years pre Dan.
Okay, so it's like a decade. It's been the better part of a decade.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is only rivaled by after meeting Vic Cubic and his organization LifeNets, and the other name was WifeNets, right? as a church dating site, which also didn't fly for some reason. But at least Meets now has some traction. So
yeah, WifeNet sort of sounds coercive in nature, which probably isn't the best name for a dating website. So
our version of like mail order brides kind of sounds like. Yeah.
So
hey, you're in the church, and we should just instantly. That means we're good for each other.
Arranged marriages. There we go.
Yep. So today, what we're gonna do, since we're launching this for the first time, and since we're coming up on the fall holy days, is we're going to do a fantasy draft of favorite fall holy day traditions. I kind of kept it to the Feast of Tabernacles. I think folks might have also done the same thing. So that might wind up what it's actually going to be. But if anyone has like a trumpets or atonement tradition to throw in, and you can't just say fasting, it's not a tradition, that's a commandment. Feel free, I guess, makes it interesting. What we'll do is we're going to go around and each person's going to pick their favorite fall feast tradition. We're going to do 3 apiece in order, not all at once for each person. The way this works, if you're into sports, you know what a snake draft is. So if I go first, I'll go, then Steve, then Corbin, then Chantel will go again, then Corbin, then Steve, then me. So the person who goes first is last is first. It's kind of biblical, right? I mean, so I guess it fits. I have a randomizer up, and none of us have talked about strategy. I don't think too many of us will have overlap, but I think Steve and I will have overlap. So
because we're brothers and we've been only keeping the feast together for 30 plus years.
Yeah.
So yes, we will.
I'm kind of invested in picking ahead of Steve. So let's go.
Oh,
randomized. No. I am. So it's Corbin first, then me, then Steve, then Chantel.
Oh, Chantel gets the turn. All right.
Right. Which is good. The turn's a good place to be.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Corbin goes first? First, Corbin, did you just do tabernacles as well? Or are you doing the whole fall feast days?
I did just tabernacles.
Okay.
All right. So, favorite Feast of Tabernacles tradition. Now, I perceive in all things that you all are very feast-keeping individuals, and you enjoy staying at a variety of locations. Let me preach to you the unknown place to stay at the feast. Though it is known, it's called a tent. Now, a tent has been around for quite a while, as you can imagine. When you're going to the Feast of Booths or tents, staying in a tent is really intense. It's fun. You're out there. It's a temporary dwelling, like it says to be in. Now, not everyone can tent. Say you're in the middle of Jamaica at a resort. Okay, you can still make a blanket fort. You can still make a temporary dwelling of some sort. So, not only have I stayed in a tent at the feast, but I have built blanket forts as a feast tradition for many years. Out of
That's
wherever
pretty
we're at,
cool.
if it's a hotel or some other place,
love
you have
that.
the temporary dwelling. You're feeling the spirit and the letter of the law right there, and
Awesome.
it's fun because you get to be a big kid adult and make a blanket fort to keep the Feast of Tents.
That's
So
amazing.
I submit
That's awesome.
to you the best feast tradition is staying in a tent of some sort. Boom.
And the good thing too, and the hope for
Wow.
this is that we can give people ideas of stuff to do at the feast.
Mhm.
That's fantastic. I feel like
Oh,
if
yeah.
I had kids, I 100% would do that. Like even if you're going someplace and just everyone's staying at a hotel, that's a great
Mhm.
that's a great thing to do.
Yeah, tented up inside the hotel.
That's it's gonna be hard to top. It's gonna be hard to top.
You're welcome.
Mine is not so much like, hey, I need to get this out because someone else is gonna pick it, but because I know if I don't do it, Steve absolutely will.
Oh boy.
So Steve was confident before this. He's like, I think I'll be able to get my top three choices. I highly doubt this
Well, we'll see what happens.
because my favorite tradition is something we've done for a while, and I think we have to give credit to. Of course,
Yes, you are.
this is the whole point. I needed to go before you because I was going to snipe you with it. Florence Baja, I believe, shout out to her, started the tradition. Before she started showing us. I think it's been for a while, but I think as far as when Worldwide people were still in Worldwide, she was doing this. But
95, I think, is when she said.
okay,
I talked to her recently about it. I think she said 95.
okay, well,
Could be before that though, like the 80s. You have to talk to her. Florence, comment on this if you're watching.
Comment below, Florence. The tradition is you get together with a bunch of people, a bunch of friends on the as the sun is setting, maybe just after the sun is setting, on the last great day, as like a final thing to do together, and you read through Revelation, start to finish, and you each take turns. You do a few verses, culminating in the new heavens and the new earth. It's like a really positive send off to the feast. It's like the whole. You talked about the millennium. It's a great thing to do, and there's no like commentary or anything. It's just reading and being meditative about it. But the caveat is. And there's no beating the first time this ever happened, but then everyone breaks out into the holy city afterwards. The first time we did tradition for a while, and then one year, shout out Nate Forrester, he unprompted started singing the holy city. He's got a great voice, and then everyone just joined. It was one of those like magical movie sort of moments, and we have done it ever since. So Feast of Tabernacles, after Last Great Day, Feast of Book of Revelation, Holy City singing. That's my tradition, Steve. So now I need to know what your second one is.
Ah, man, this is difficult because that is the greatest tradition. There's no beating that. And the irony being, it's technically outside of the fall holy days because we do it after the sunset.
Are you trying to like
right?
invalidate my selection?
No. It's just kind of thinking about that when I was putting my big board together on all the different things to do, and that was obviously that's number one. But I was thinking about that. It's funny how the one thing that's actually my favorite thing is at the very end of the feast because there's a nice positive send off and all that stuff. So that's really good. Okay, so I get to cross that out off the top. I'm gonna do something that's very me.
Okay,
because
that's good.
Because for a long time in our childhood, I think probably ever since the Palm Springs feast in 2000, we pretty much flew to all the feast sites And it was like the one time a year we would fly. So I have this like tradition in my head. It's not like a super tradition, but I always have this association with flying in airports with the feast. And so I actually love flying to the feast because it just gets me into that mindset of being excited for the feast, getting ready to meet people, see people, and have that conversation and start having conversations with people. I will say the past few times for me has been definitely more of a downer because I'm not with anybody, traveling by myself most of the time. There've been a couple times where I've like going to the feast and you like run into somebody at an airport in like the connecting place and you're like, oh, you're here too. And that's fun. But I like that as like the getting ready, the gearing up, getting ready for the feast because travel is stressful, but for us growing up, I always had that association with flying and the Feast of Tabernacles. And I know not everybody flies to the feast. Some people will only drive to the feast, or if you're sticking close to where you live and you're going somewhere, then you're driving to the feast, which maybe that's your fun tradition. Maybe somebody has that. We've only done that a few times, but I've always associated flying with the feast. And so I will pick that.
Air travel, specifically like with family or running into brethren too. That's a good one. The cool thing is since I've never had any conversations about this kind of thing with people, I don't know where any of you were going to go with this. So that's a good one. Because for me, I know one of the few times I can wake up early and actually be excited about life is when we're going to the feast and it's like really early flights out. And yeah, I would imagine some people with their like 18-hour marathon trips on the road that might wind up on the list. So Chantel,
is that yours?
No, is it? And you have 2 in a row now because you're the turn.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Actually, Corbin took one of mine. It's not one that I've done yet, but I've been dying like to camp during the feast. So it was on my I want to. So you took it, you stinker.
That also counts. That's a good point. You can do aspirational ones too. Ones like you haven't done yet, but you really want to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was one that was on my list. So I had to come up with a new one on the fly. So this is one of my very favorite feast traditions. I started doing this maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. At the feast in Hawaii, actually, when I was just going through life stuff. And it is waking up early every single morning and going out in nature. Ideally, if you like wherever you're staying, if there's just like a place in your backyard, or maybe you can just walk somewhere nearby and just have like really quiet prayer time and Bible study and meditation time, like for like 45 minutes to an hour, like sunrise, nobody's around, nobody's awake. It just sets the day and the tone for the day and like that whole week so well, because I think sometimes it can be really easy with the feast because it's so busy and there's so many people and it's wonderful. But I think it's also really important to be really intentional about connecting with God in that time too, because you can kind of sometimes get so like lost in the stuff and the doing that I think making sure that you are connecting with him and asking him to like guide your day and be with your thoughts throughout the day, and maybe, look out for some people that you need to talk to or whatever to encourage. So I feel like that's one of my favorite traditions that I do now.
That's a good one. And also just like a good rule of thumb, or a good way to, like you said, stay in the perspective and the mindset of the feast and be intentional every day. Because it gets, even if you're doing good things like relating to the feast, it can be really hectic and you can sort of be out of your head a bit in terms of focused on the outward stuff and doing rather than meditating and studying. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's your double up?
Okay. So my double up is a little bit more silly.
Good. You can do silly.
Nice.
You can do frivolous or you can do serious.
So one of my favorite things is every time, because we really enjoy usually staying in an Airbnb that has like some sort of kitchen. I love cooking. Even during the feast, I love cooking. And I love to just go to the grocery store like the day before the feast starts, and we just go crazy. We get all the fun treats and all the things that look so good that we never let ourselves get like for the entire year. And I mean, it's a feast. You're supposed to eat really well, but sometimes whenever you just have like fun snacks and stuff like that, like I don't know, we do like breakfast and lunch usually at home and then or like packed and then we'll go out for dinner. But like it's just so much fun. It's such a treat getting to kind of like run around the store and be like, look what I got, oh, I found this, and it's the best.
So are you of the attitude, like other people I've heard, that calories don't count during the feast? Because like I would love to do that.
Yeah.
Corbin,
I
you said
also just
absolutely.
have a naturally fast metabolism, so I kind of,
Lucky.
yeah, I just eat whatever.
As a kid, that was like, okay, I get to splurge on like some unhealthy cereal at the feast, right? So it was just like, oh man, Lucky Charms. And it's almost like you have this shopping spree. It's like I have money to get whatever I want. I don't have to think about like budgeting and stuff. So yeah, you feel like you're a kid with this like blank check in a store. Like I can get Lucky Charms. Of course, I don't want to do that anymore, but it just tastes nasty. But as a kid, it was like, oh man, I can splurge. It's the feast.
Yeah, my parents did that. Like, so that was one of the things that we did growing up and my parents would be like, okay, you have this amount of money and you can just go pick whatever you want. And we were like, what? So it was like so cool.
Yeah, I have it's not on my list and I won't say it because someone else might pick it, but those like food and doing things you wouldn't normally do or couldn't afford to do, that's a big part of it. And again, though, like you can tell which one of us has the fast metabolism by the one who's still able to do that in adulthood. I would love to do that. Okay.
But naturally, I like healthier things anyway, so I'm not like insane.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So what would that splurge eating?
Yeah, binge eating.
Okay. Steve, what's your second?
All right, so my second, going off of, because Chantel referenced it very early in the beginning, I thought she was going to go this way, but she didn't. And we started doing this in Arizona back in 2010 or 2011, where we were like, you know what? It's actually cheaper to just rent a house and have a bunch of people come and stay with us than it is to like get a hotel or to get something else and do those kinds of things. And one of the reasons why I do really like renting the Airbnb is specifically because you can have other brethren come stay with you and have a great house, have an area to have people over and continue to fellowship. Because one of the things that I always liked about the feast, and the thing that has kind of been disappointing when I'm at feast where I'm like strictly in a hotel, is that when there are times where it's like, I'm gonna say like off hours, but right, when you're kind of at home and you're sort of relaxing, you could still be with brethren though. You could still hang out with brethren. You could still have those really awesome conversations instead of feeling like, all right, I need to be out of my hotel room and like out and be turned on, right, with around people, when you could just be home and you could just be relaxing, but you're also with close friends or some other people that you decide to stay with, and you can have these conversations with people, and that way you never lose out on that. When you're staying with other people, you have that constant connection throughout the entire feast, and you're able to do that. I mean, we've had some really awesome times with the houses. I mean, going back to the one that you mentioned, Dan, about the Revelation reading, for many years in Arizona and in Maine, when we kept the feast there, we would have it at our house. And so we have these massive gatherings in this house. And so we had the ability to bring people together. And that's what I really love about that time. It gives us an additional space, additional time, just like, I could chat with you and we could just have a conversation and really have that instead of being more isolated if you're like just in a hotel room by yourself.
You know what can enhance that in a big house? A blanket fort.
Yeah, you could do both, which is fantastic. They're not mutually exclusive, which is great.
I want to see how many people Corbin can have at like a feast party within the blanket fort within the Airbnb.
Blanket
within my tent.
Have y'all ever
Make
seen
a blanket fort inside the tent?
Have y'all ever seen the show Community where they do the giant blanket fort?
Chantel is speaking to the wrong crowd. I'm glad Steve at least knew the episode. I think Corbin and I have been like,
it's about like community college, and it's so funny. Just remind me of that.
Yeah, that's a good one, Steve. Because the other thing too is, and maybe we'll do this next year before the feast, but I think like what makes a good feast is another good conversation to have, and it's maybe sort of like the same kind of thing, like qualities or like underrated things. And I won't spoil
Yeah.
what I will say a year from now. uh, but it's sort of also when you rent a house, it's a hedge against like if it's a smaller site or maybe there isn't a central location where the church is meeting, like you could have people over and it could be a hangout location, a good catalyst for fellowship.
Yeah.
But so I'm going to, I guess it's not following Chantel's lead because she got sniped by Corbin, but I'll do the first aspirational one. Uh, Someone mentioned this to me. I'm not going to take credit for it, but someone mentioned that feasts should have a service component to it, like one service day. And I think they're starting to do more of that. Like I'm, for example, when we were at Cagwa's Winter Family Weekend this past year, I think there was a day or an activity where they did a service thing for a charity. I think it'd be great to have a day where everyone, not an activity you could go to, but like where everyone's going to get together and do a service thing. And like the more hands-on, the better. I don't know what, I'm sure it would have to be tailored to each location. And I think it'd be a cool way to leave a positive mark on wherever you're staying. And like imagine if every site we did have one of those, like that's a pretty big day of service. So I've always wanted to try and go to a site that had a service day component. I forgot who gave. I wish I could give credit to the person who presented that idea. Maybe it was Blake Silverstein because he's really big into that. But I would love to do that. Okay.
It's interesting that I mean you mentioned that the for United, the feast site in Panajachel, Guatemala, they started doing a young adult service project trip every year because at the feast there they noticed that there was an orphanage right next to where the feast site was, and so some of the guys went up there and said, "Hey, you guys need any help?" I said, yes. And so that started something from a service project during the feast that then turned into an annual thing that they went to every year to help out. So yeah, I definitely think that's, it's obviously not necessarily commanded that you have to do a service project in the community, but I think it doesn't go against any principles to show God's love to people while you're there celebrating. So
yeah, as long as you don't make the day where you do the work on one of the Sabbaths, you're good. So and it could be tailored to the community. You can get really creative. I think while it's good to do things that are sort of removed where maybe you make, baskets or care packages for people, there is a little bit of a distance there. So like if that's the only thing, that's great. But it'd be cool to actually get out and do something like clean up an area or go to whatever, like you said, an orphanage or a nonprofit somewhere and help out.
On that, because I feel like we've talked about this a couple times, just like in private outside of the podcast sphere, in that too, because it's also kind of connecting this idea where when we're at the feast, where we're picturing the time where if we're going to be ruling with Christ and trying to help people and serving people who have just come out of some pretty traumatic times during the tribulation, day of the Lord, that time. It would be nice for the feast sites to have something like that where we can actually put that into practice and we can help people in those areas. Because most of the time where we're having feasts, there's some degree of local population, or even if you have to go somewhat far, because I think of something like Jekyll Island, right? Like it's kind of situated off, but like Brunswick's not too far, and so you could do something in Brunswick, or those kinds of places where they may have some areas of people who are in need and definitely need some help. Because I don't think people in Jekyll Island need help, since that is like a rich person's destination. But like the people around there could definitely use some help. Or if you're at Jekyll Island, you can always help with the turtles.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
you could do a clean up the beach day.
Absolutely. Like it really could. You could really get creative with it in terms of it could be environmental. It could be helping folks who are impoverished or folks maybe who are underserved in other ways. Probably a million different things. But good point, Stephen, that it's also the primary holy day or period set of holy days that are very much focused outside the church sphere to the world at large. It's restored Israel as a primary focus, but also Christ ruling on this earth, and so other nations as it interacts with Christ's rule and the restored nation of Israel. So it is very much pointed at the meaning of the days. So that'd be cool. I'm getting more invested in this by the minute. Okay. So Corbin's next, and now Corbin has a turn. Corbin's got two in a row.
Okay. Okay. All right. So this one, I don't think I'm gonna be in danger of anyone, stealing anyone's. So there's a concept in the Philippines called the Bayanihan, and that really means kind of the community coming together to do a project. And typically, what that might be is they'll sometimes have these houses built out of bamboo. And what they'll do is they'll build them, and then the whole community will carry the whole house on site and then set it up for the individual, kind of like an Amish barn building where everyone comes together essentially. So you get like, 50 guys or whatever carrying this bamboo house. And it's just a whole community thing. And then with that, then you have this giant meal, potluck, everything coming together. So when I was at the feast in Tagaytay, Philippines, they had by Hinin night. There wasn't a house that we had to move, but we did the food part of it, where we roasted an entire cow on a spit. um, Typically in the Philippines, they would normally do that with pigs, but obviously in our case, clean meats.
Clean meats.
And because this was for the whole congregation, the whole feast, area, everyone was there together, maybe 350 people or so. And sure enough, there's this fire and this cow's just spinning around, and then everyone brings all these side dishes. And I ate parts of a cow I didn't know existed, but I'm assuming it's all fair game if it's a clean meat. There's things that look like little springs in a car, like that's inside of a cow. So I maybe that's what helps them. I don't know, balance.
Did you not eat a car? Like,
well, that's true. I didn't ask. I just
very custom
given with Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But that concept of everyone come together, and there's like little tiki huts and some fun drinks and just fellowship and just music and just a fun night where the whole congregation came together in a giant unique potluck with a roasted cow. So I think that the concept of that whole just community getting together and just the cool experience to roast a cow. It's not something I've done in like Jekyll Island for the feast or Gatlinburg. So yeah, roasting a cow is my number two.
So funny. There's two things that Steve's probably going to say the other one. So let Steve say the second one.
Well, I don't know. We might say the first one. I don't know.
Oh, well, the first thing was I was just going to ask, what's the practical benefit of the original like tradition of, is it a symbolic, you build a temporary house and give it to someone who's attending there, or is it literally you're building someone's place of residence and moving it for them?
Yeah, their actual residence.
Okay,
just so it comes together in a place that's more conducive for building it.
Yeah,
I don't know, like the town square or something like that, and then everyone kind of as a celebratory like housewarming gift. Here's your house.
That's awesome. That'd be a great component too if someone needed that.
Yeah.
I don't know if that'd be doable in the States, given all the codes and everything. I don't think we have enough people to lift the house, but we could try. Steve,
like box full of a house.
Well, I was going to say two things. First one being, Corbin, was one cow enough for the 350 people?
It was. I mean, there's enough side dishes as well, but there's a lot of meat on there. And when you have rice and all soup and everything like that too. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking, because I know a lot of congregations, they've done this outside of the feast, but they have like the ox roast kind of thing.
That was what I was going to say.
Yeah, it's obviously not a full ox, because I feel like that's just a lot, but it's like a big slab.
Okay.
Maybe it is a full ox. I really don't know.
I hope someone did a full ox.
I mean, again, if you're watching, throw in the comments if you ever did a full ox roast before, because I know people did that.
And oxen and strong drink. This is very biblical.
Exactly.
That's seriously though. Because I think it was a thing a lot of people did, at least in the Northeast. I know.
And in the South.
If you were involved in it, comment below, because I have friends who tell stories of someone needed to be with it like overnight or take shifts overnight to stay with it and turn it, and that was like everyone's favorite job because it smelled so good. So.
Nice. Smells so good.
All right. So roasted cow. That's number two.
Okay.
Now I'm snaking it up, right?
Yep.
All right. So number three, this is something that works best at a non-US site. If you find yourself in a position where you have a little excess second tithe and you're willing to travel to an area where a US dollar goes a little farther, it is a wonderful experience to be able to find a group of people and sort of anonymously treat them to a meal. sometimes you can't always do it anonymously just for practicality's sake. But some of the feast sites I've been to, just people are so appreciative of just having, being able to eat out essentially, where they wouldn't normally be able to. And so just being able to say, well, I've got excess second tithe, like this is, a great way to bless some of the other people there. And so just seeing the joy and just the appreciation of the meal and the fellowship with it too, finding a place that can house a big group of people. So that's really a cool opportunity to do. Obviously, you can do that in the States too, probably with smaller groups of people. But just being able to share your blessings financially is a super awesome way. And I know sometimes in the States, it's like people argue over who gets the check, when it's like, okay, we all got some second tithe here. Who's gonna, get the bill for this Wendy's, shake? But but finding those opportunities, I also just encourage a lot of Americans to travel to international feast sites. Well, and I would clarify non-European international feast sites where
developing countries or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Latin America, things like that. Just the brethren are so warm and friendly and so appreciative of, if you're willing to share and bless someone else with what you've been blessed with. And so it's very humbling too, just to see like, wow, I take for granted going out to eat all the time. And here these people are just like so happy about that. So, anonymously, footing the bill for a group of people over there.
So despite Corbin being in the give spirit, he took my answer.
Oh,
he sniped it. So
Yes,
mine wasn't
snipe it.
necessarily the anonymous part, but I was gonna say like treating someone who might not otherwise either have the funds to go, or maybe even is just like quiet or more reserved, but you want to get to know them better, and so you take them to spend time with them, like just the two of you or just a small group of people. But I like that, Corbin. So I'm gonna do. Mine is putting on a not necessarily talent night, and there's a nuance here, but open mic night.
It's a good one.
Because sometimes I might be reading too much into this, but sometimes people can be intimidated by the whole talent show thing. Like it's very formal. People might not consider what they might want to do as like a talent or something. But Steve and I were part of an open mic scene for like 10 years, and it was a wide variety of things. So you could do spoken word and poetry. You could sing, play music. Some people did stand-up comedy, like a whole range of things. And we started to host one at a feast site we went to in Maine for a bunch of years, and people came up with creative things. Like people would do skits. One gentleman read, or I think he memorized it. What was it from the Band of Brothers part of? Was it Richard the?
Or is it Henry the
Henry.
Fourth? I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah, a Shakespeare play, right? And so I think it's really cool because brethren are so important, but God calls a range of people, and we come together because of God's calling, not necessarily because we have similar interests. So a lot of times it takes a while to figure out like, oh, this person's really into X thing. And it's cool to get to know someone more and maybe a catalyst for conversation afterwards. There's some people that I knew for decades, and then I hosted the open mic night, and they got up and like memorized poetry. I'm like, I had no idea you even liked poetry. So that's cool. I like making it casual so that everyone feels involved. I also like the idea of having a list, but also leaving enough room where if someone feels inspired, like in the moment, night of, they could sign up or say, hey, I'll get up and do it. So I loved the open mic nights we hosted for years. So that one's mine. I'm wondering if I sniped Steve again.
No, you didn't. But I will say I did look it up. It was King Henry the Fifth.
Mm-hmm.
But shout out, we already mentioned Florence. Shout out to Richard. Richard Bajaw did that one. And what he would do on that was that he would take that whole section of it's the St. Crispin's Day thing, but he would like take out things and insert feast references instead.
Oh, okay.
And yeah,
Yeah, I
and
remember
so
that.
that was the thing that was awesome because right, he'd be talking instead of saying like on this St. Crispin's Day, he'd be like on the Feast of Tabernacles, and that would be like really cool, and it fit pretty well too. I mean, it's outside of I always forget the dynamic pentameter, whatever the thing is. I probably butchered it. Iambic, whatever. Yeah, thank you, Corbin. I failed as an English major there, but yeah, that was always a great thing. So I did love that.
And the
you got
range
me.
of talents too, like the in
Yeah.
terms of getting kids involved, a whole bunch of a range of ages, but also it's an opportunity to be encouraging as a people because there are going to be people who are extremely like it's one of the things they do a lot, so they're really good at it, and other people who are just starting to play guitar, and it's an opportunity to be encouraging for everyone. So yeah,
Yeah.
but Steve, sorry, I jumped
Uh,
in.
no, I'm actually debating between two, and I don't know, and they just came to me, one of them. So I don't
Oh,
really
I
know which one to pick
was gonna say it's a follow
between
your
these
board,
two.
Steve.
I know. Well, this is what happens. It wasn't on the board, and now
Yeah.
it's not there. So I'm not sure how I want to do it, but I'm gonna go with the one that's on my board actually, because I think I talk about this. I don't think people would think of this as a tradition, but now I kind of purposely do this. I try to not in any way, shape, or form look at this. This is a
Mhm.
phone, just in case people were wondering, right? Like.
For the people
I tr
listening
Yeah, for the people
on
listening, that's a
Spotify.
good one. Yeah,
Yeah.
for those on
They're on laptops,
Spotify,
not
this is a
phones.
phone.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, not laptops. But anything really, like the idea that I will get back to quote the real world, right? And I
Mhm.
have no idea what happened in the last 8, 9, 10, 11 days. And sometimes that's really refreshing. Just be like, just completely, and it's not even really a tech like purge, because like I still have my phone on me. I'm still texting people because we're like, hey, are we going to meet up here? But I will purposely not look at the news. I will purposely not do those kinds of things. We're just here for the feast. I just want to focus on the feast. Just focus on these things that are right in front of me right now. And because most of the time, the things that are in the news, they're not that big a deal. I mean, in my case, it kind of is important, right? Like a couple of years ago when we had the October 7th attacks, that was during the feast. So people who were in Israel during that
Affected
time,
brethren.
affected brethren quite a lot. And so we wanted to make sure people were okay. Those kinds of things I get it. Generally speaking, though, I don't want to learn about politics, especially in my area right now. I'm working for the federal government. Every September 30th is the fear of the government shutdown, and so that's right around the feast every year.
Steve
And I'm
just
like, I don't
leaves.
care about that. Well, yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's the great thing too, is that if I go on furlough, I get all that leave back, which is great. Um, so shout out being a federal employee.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I think that's one that
That's a
I,
good
I
one.
I really liked. I was like, you know what? Because I will talk to people and they'll be like, oh yeah, I just didn't even look at the news. I'm like, yes, that's what it should be. Shouldn't worry about that kind of stuff. Just focus on now, re-energize, and then go back into the world.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, Chantel, this is the last pick of the Fall Feast Traditions draft.
Okay. So this one is different than Steve's second one, but
Okay.
it's kind of similar because you said staying in an Airbnb with a bunch of people, right? That was
Mhm.
Yeah,
yours? Okay.
yeah.
Mine is having a group of people over to your home one evening for like dinner, fellowship, maybe singing together, just like to have some really nice intimate meaningful conversations because I think you can only have so many you can't really have deep conversations a lot of times at like a restaurant. Like you can kind of go so far, but like when you're in more of a home setting, you really have a lot more opportunity to like really get to know people. And one of that's kind of one of the things that we did with our family is we would either just have everybody bring like snacks and we all just hang out after dinner, or we would actually put we would cook a dinner and then people would just come and just bring like a bottle of wine or something like that. So it's just really special. Usually we do it kind of towards ish the end of the feast,
Mhm.
after we've gotten to know some people and maybe some people that we've never met before, and then maybe also a couple people that we have seen before but we haven't seen in a long time, and then just kind of have like 12 people over or something like that, and it's really special.
I love that.
Those are fun times.
I
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
obliged to say that after drinking the wine, you all can participate in a blanket fort building.
Why does it have to be
Just
after
trying
though,
to tie
Corbin?
this back together here.
No, what we do in my family is we eat kipper snacks. That's another random thing.
What
I
is
don't
that?
even
It's like
It's
cat
like-
food? What is that?
No. It's like sardines, but they're
Okay.
kipper. So it's like
How
it's
is that
this
not a cat
weird
snack?
thing that my grandpa started when they started attending the feast. Is
Oh,
he
yeah.
was so excited about getting kipper snacks at the feast,
They're
and then
herrings.
yeah, and then growing up, like we just every year, no matter where we were, we would get kipper snacks. We still
Frisky
do
Whiskers
it.
brand is the best.
Steve and I get fancy feast every year.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that if you're gonna have kippers, what you could at least do is cut down the largest tree in the forest with that kipper.
Or with a herring.
A kipper is a herring.
We
Okay.
started before the pod with Monty Python reference, and now we're closing out the actual pod with one. That's a good full
Gotta
circle.
do it. Gotta do it. Full circle.
That's a callback before the pod started.
Yeah, I will say though, that is a really good one, Chantel. I know, thinking back to our time in Maine, we had a giant house that we'd bring. We would have like 50 to 60 people in this house, and we did like a Chinese food night,
Mhm.
and like just have everybody over, and it's just a lot of fun because right with Chinese food, it's like you feel like you could just eat everything, and it just like never ends, which is
Yeah.
one of the wonderful things about Chinese food. It's probably the closest we can get to eternity is Chinese food. So, but yeah, it's a
He
great
has
it's a
put
great one.
eternity in the heart of Chinese food. That was amazing. That was amazing.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be a new favorite phrase of mine.
That's
a good
great.
one. Okay, so now we got to recap. That's a good one to end it on. But so Corbin's three selections was tent building in any way, shape, or form. Staying
Staying in a tent or building one, yes.
building a tent. I think we all gravitated towards, regardless of where you're staying, make a tent within
Yes.
your dwelling,
Yes.
specifically a fort. Then giant potluck cow roast
Yeah.
with brethren, which is pretty great. And then third, anonymously treat someone to dinner, take them out, cook for them, something to that effect. Very good ones. My three were Revelation reading on the after last great day, followed by the Holy City, a service project day at the feast, and then open mic night. Steve's were the beauties of air travel with brethren and family, staying at a big feast house with brethren, and taking a technology break. And Chantel's were morning study and meditation by yourself, splurge eating of fun snacks you never get to eat the rest of the year. I feel like that one needs a little asterisk for specifically only advised for people with fast metabolisms. And then lastly, hosting brethren at your residence at the feast to fellowship and have more like meaningful one-on-one conversations. That was awesome. I think we went really different directions with it. And they were each individual one was quite different as well. Although I have to say, Corbin sort of nailed the first overall pick.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like in retrospect, I didn't even think about that, but that makes sense. Like that was the consensus number one, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Anyone have any last comments or like things you were surprised no one mentioned?
Oh,
I don't think so.
no.
Blowing a shofar, that's a tradition people do. I mean, someone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they do it like usually people will do that on trumpets. That's been occurring more in my area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fun.
I thought Steve might say bowling.
See, I had that on my big board,
Mhm.
but we haven't been doing it consistently, and also too, it was at the point where we were all like only doing it at the feast. But like then we had a few years where we were bowling like every week, so it was like not as much of a
That's a
tradition.
good point. That's a good
So I
point.
had it on there, but I will just say the one that came up on the fly as we were doing this was, and then in some feast sites don't necessarily do this. It depends on the song leader, but some song leaders understand that there are very specific songs you need to sing on the last great day, right?
Mhm.
Oh,
And-
that's a good one.
Gotta
Yeah,
be with
right.
you till we meet
Yeah,
again.
gotta be with you.
That's
It
so
won't be
good.
long now. There's a lot of ones that are just like you kind of have to sing it. I remember one feast in Maine. Mr. Gene Hogberg, for those who remember Mr. Hogberg, he was leading songs on the last day, and I don't know if it was at the end. He's like, I was told I need to sing this song and I didn't even plan to do it, but we have to do it. And so he just like completely shifted what he was going to do for song leading and decided, all right, we're going to sing this song. And I was like, yes, and so this is a great way to do it. It gets people in the mind. And then of course you're just looking around and no one has dry eyes. And it's like, all right, this is a nice time.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Awesome. Well, this went very well. I like this. I think I want to do the same thing with like the spring feasts and things like that. We can get really creative. We also want more engagement with you all. So comment below what some of your favorites are. Like part of the whole clean meats thing is we want it to feel like a hangout. Like we want input from you all. I would imagine everyone has some sort of thoughts about some of this. If you think some of ours are ridiculous, you let us know. If you think one of our takes is a hot one, or how could you take this before that one, we're up for it. We're up for challenges. But we'll be doing a lot more of these. We hope to be doing more podcasts in general under the different umbrellas we have now with CGN, different sort of episode series. And we'll see you next time for an episode of Clean Meats. Thanks, everybody.